Lemon Amiga presents a Playguide video review. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Hi there, welcome to another Lemon Amiga Playguide and review. This time we'll be taking another look at Arabian Nights. A game that I've covered already. We'll give ourselves 5 energy and 5 lives, and in this guide it will be literally a play guide to the entire game itself, not a review. So let's see how far we can get with this, and this will be showing you all the secrets. So if you pull down and press fire over certain spots, particularly of the first level, you'll find hidden areas, and this is the first one, which allows us to get a number of gems. And the first area of the game, the very first level, is packed with these hidden areas, and hopefully we'll be showing you most of those, or all of those, in this technical walkthrough, which was actually recorded during the Lemon Amiga competition. And the aim of that competition was to collect as many crystals and as many points as possible. So this is going to be a high scoring run, hopefully, and that means jumping into things ahead of time, and that particular run and duck maneuver can kill you many times, so you have to practice that. I must have died 20 million times on that particular bit, and then you have to duck again and wait for these things to rise to the top, and then duck straight through the exit where you can find the enemy with his back towards us, and if we take any hits then we can backtrack straight towards some extra energy. And the enemies in this game, straight through the exit door there. I'm not quite sure whether it's possible to collect the gems all over again. I don't think so. So once we go through those doors, everything should be collected. That means that in here we can find another few gems, and this wasn't a speed run by any means, but I got so used to playing this in the Lemon competition, you can see I'm rushing through it, and collecting that amount of gems that early means we can rush straight into this area and get the rigid snake that we need to release that prisoner. After this unskippable cutscene, the first unskippable cutscene of the game, we will get the lockpicks, which allows us to exit this level, and you would expect there to be lots of bonuses hidden in these areas, but there isn't. Unfortunately, I've checked every crack, every nook and crevice that I could on this play guide, just to score as much as possible. And I don't think, in fact I didn't score at the very top score in the competition, which was recorded some time ago. I think I came second in that competition, but you can see just by revealing some more of the area that will actually give us some score later on. And for the moment, let's just jump into this part, which will give us a few more crystals. Sometimes you can die by falling into these pits, and it gives us a higher completion level on the level, but it's not actually possible to get 100% complete on any level of this game. Even though it gives you those statistics, it isn't actually possible. It's important not to hang around, and I've definitely known myself dying on the fire on this game, and I think that is possible. But let's not risk it, let's just jump ahead of time and simply walk off. And the hardest boss, the hardest enemy for me on this entire level is the one that you can see on screen right now. And sometimes he has been known to wipe me out, and that's pretty unnerving. My preferred tactic is to run in and to get him before he's had a chance to swing that sword. You can see on this particular rip, when he's flashing on and off, the rip hasn't quite grabbed all those frames, and you can see I messed it up. Yes, you can collect some health. If you die, you can collect some more health, but you can see for my money it's pretty difficult unless you run away completely and then rush all the way in. That means he won't be expecting us, and that means you can get rid of him. so it's best to take your time on that particular enemy who's already wiped out one life. It's possible to complete this even without the maze dodging, whatever that may be, that gives you the arrows on the maze, and now we can simply follow the path towards the exit. And in this game it's linear, so we can see what's ahead of us, and in this game, particularly on this area, it's possible to take our time completely and wait for the enemy to turn his back. If we jump up there like great geoncists, sometimes we'll collide with the enemy and die. So we want to take our time and time our manoeuvres so that we don't jump straight into him, and that's been known to happen to me quite a lot, just like that. And it's best to make a spot on the ground, wait for him to walk past it, and then jump to that spot again to try to hit him. In this area we can duck in and find another hidden spot, and this is the first of two screens that we discovered in the Lemon Amiga competition, not for the first time in history, but we probably rediscovered them. And one bright spark, I can't remember who it was, said yes, if you jump off the top of this bit we'll gain even more areas, and in this case we find an Aladdin's lamp. Magic lantern does absolutely nothing in this game as far as we could see, and we really did try to explore this first level inside out, and that's a bonus item. You will get extra score for that at the end of the level, and because score really matters in this high scoring run, I'm just speeding my way through that, and I think that's the last scoring opportunity on this level. It's helpful also to get the lockpicks out ahead of time, and they can run straight through to the exit. And we covered level 2 in the Playguide. Level 2 is the easiest level as far as I know in the entire game. You can run around the level and collect a few extra bits ahead of time, and a few of those extra bit areas we discovered in the Lemon Amiga games competition. So hopefully I might have managed to capture one or two in this heavily extended edit version of the Playguide to this game. In the forest, we managed to discover this bit as well, which you can access, and that contains another bird. That means we can get straight on with Bruce and we can activate the turtle without having to explore the level a bit further, and that's another great tip to explore all of these levels. There aren't too many hidden areas though on level 2, and most people know about pulling down on the second tree stump to gain that bonus area. Parrots are annoying, and we have to definitely get rid of them if we want a high scoring run, and so they're now dispatched. So now it's just the last few underground areas towards the end of that level, and you might be thinking that that's the level over. Well, there is one more secret in here which many players may have found. It contains a few more coins, and then we get through to the boss, which isn't too hard if we know where to stand. If we run into those boulders, we'll take a hit, but if we stand just by the side of those boulders and sweep with our sword, that will eventually rebound into the boss. And if you find the correct spot by the side of the boss every single time, you can then swipe the sword and swipe it directly into him. It's not too bad if you take a knock or two, but it's important not to die too many times on that boss. Next level is a magic carpet ride, and here we get to destroy some sheep, it looks like, and we also get to destroy some hot air balloons and some guys firing towards us. The the trick or the cheat for this level that I originally saw in Amiga Power magazine, but I was reminded of it during the Lemon competition, was to stay in the pink area. That's the area between the orange and the dark pink, and that means we can sail straight through it. Respawning enemies don't pose too much of a problem if you keep running forward, but if you want to explore areas you'll find the enemies respawn, and this is one of my favourite levels with some great music, but the respawning enemies, you have to get used to them and stop and start your way around the level. Above us there is an octopus that is easily removed by standing on the second step down, and then we can duck and then rise up to destroy him. But what I like to do is to take the shortcut through this level, and that saves some score. And this part was not recorded during the Lemon Amiga competition. This is another try of the game where I show you the quick way through this level. And it took me some time to find the quick way, but the quick way is just to jump in and find a secret door. That will take us on through to the crab cook almost straight away, and any one of these two doors will take us there. This is the harder of the two ways, where we get to master jumping on things without taking too much damage. And this is the way that contains a few more fish, which I used in the Lemon compo. And then perhaps one of the easiest but also one of the most frustrating parts of this level is the crab cook. In this section we get 5 doors, and if we jump at the right spot on every single one of these levels we should be safe, and it's learning that right spot. Every time this octopus fires, he will fire towards us, and so you can anticipate that and not make that mistake of jumping up too early, but he will eventually back off, and having done so, when he purses those lips together, you can then jump, and that's the way to defeat him. Out that second door, not before collected some more energy, and there are 2 energy safes on this particular section, or energy chests, and again let's use the usual second step method. Duck down and then walk up to the first step or even the top step, hit him, and then return back to the second step again. You can stand even at the top as long as we get out of the way or even jump over what he spitballs towards us, then we can knock him out bit by bit, and by not rushing in again, taking that time, we can collect that item. We need to collect 5 fish to complete this section, and we've collected the first 2 fish already. Door number 3, we find a similar octopus, and when he moves back you can more or less time that to jump up, and then when he moves forward you can jump down and hit him. This is perhaps the easiest of all the octopi, but you can see right on the edge you have to jump and wait for him to leave the spikes behind before you can collect that final fish, otherwise you'll have to take some damage, which isn't too much of a problem in this game because you have lots of energy, unlike Soccer Kid. This section is difficult, and again you have to time it. Jump here, and if you jump too late like that, then you'll get hit. It's the timing of that particular thing that I've had to master the hard way, and of course I haven't mastered it. Of course you can see that on the screen. So jump here, and again too late again, so wait for that thing to fire. Jump here, too early in that case. Here, well, unfortunately not. Sometimes it's possible to walk back to the final spike and that helps your timing, and I tend to walk back to the final spike after each swipe, but because I'm recording I forgot to do that and I'm rushing and making silly mistakes. The fast way through the level, and the fastest way to kill this guy is to do the opposite of what you've been doing already. Instead of jumping up, now you jump down, and when he moves back you jump down, and when he jumps up you jump up. This time there are no spikes to avoid, and the final fish is pretty easy, and for our time and trouble then the crab cup will give us an extra life. Helps us in our calls, because an extra life in this game can last a long time. Now we just follow the linear level towards the end and standing on the very edge of this platform so that you don't get killed by the spikes, and I still got hit anyway, and again turn you back so that you don't get hit on that one, turn you back so that you don't get hit on this one, hopefully, and it's those kind of antics that you have to memorize so that you have to stop and you don't get hit. And here I don't think you get hit, but I always jump up anyway, just in case. That's rather bugged. And then the Snake of Doom takes us all the way through to an opportunity to get some more health. You can see we're on, well, 1 health out of 5 at the moment. Let's risk everything and jump down and try to collect it. Missed 2 fish, that wasn't very good if that had been on that high scoring run, but we're on the quick way through that level. That level is very difficult, and if you go the octopus way that will give you an extra life, and that's the way that I went in the Lemon Amiga Games competition, because that gives you more score. And the way that I showed you on the Playguide is definitely the hardest way to get through that level. And this level, it's got great music again, and it's pretty scenic and it's pretty calming as we make our way through collecting a few skulls. The mayhem of the previous levels, this level definitely comes as a sigh of relief, and I'm sighing of relief just even watching it. And this is quite a large level. It does take some exploring. There's some hidden areas, we can find lots of hidden items, including some diving boots and some extra lives as well, so it's definitely worth it. And you might think that it's linear at this point, but if I go back on myself you can see the skull gets us, so we can't do that. And there's another skull waiting to kill us, and various others at strategic points, so we'll have to watch out for them. And sometimes you have to run back on yourself and run away, and they're the diving boots that will allow us to, well, float down to the bottom just a little bit easier. In this one we'll find an amulet that gives us an extra segment of health. That means we have 6 health, but we'll still have to die or collect it in order to have that 6. This is a difficult one. In the compo you have to die here because the enemy above the skeleton, the skull, goes right through that rock, and there's another skull that goes right through the scenery. You have to take strategic hits sometimes, but in this game, well, I'm going this particular way because, well, it's a quick way through the level, plus it leads to that extra life. That gives us 6 lives, and if we didn't die stupidly we'd be on 7 or 8 by now. And I've never quite found out what is below that spike because it's very difficult to get under there. For my money, you just wait and float down in this area, and you can make sure that you float down and collect all of the items, and go a long way here to save yourself getting schooled to death, which is very easy to do, and sometimes trial and error in this game is the only way to get through it. So with the bonus amulet, the bonus life, and the bonus boots, we can now run hopefully towards the exit. That isn't without ducking into another semi-bonus area, because if you complete this level normally, you have to go through here. And having gone through here, that leads us to the exit. Or if you feel like living dangerously, you can flow straight through those spikes and swim straight down the rocks until you discover another hidden area in the game. And this was sent in by a reader, a fan of the old review. So thank you very much for your comment, and this area was found because of you. And that reveals an extra lantern, and I've no idea what those do, unfortunately, in the game. My least favourite bosses is this one, because if you ride on those bubbles to the top you'll die, and if you fall off that landscape you'll die as well. So you can jump to the left if he's on the right, that can help, but this boss is only a small boss, as you can see, so he fires lethal projectiles which only take a small amount of damage. It's basically, for my money, avoiding the spikes on the top and avoiding that water. Having a stock of lives at that point is very handy, because the game more or less takes it easy on us for a few more levels where we can just relax and have some fun, and it's that fun factor in this game which makes it extra special. In the minecart race, we have a slim chance of getting into that head minecart and slowing that down, and we'll gain a small bonus for beating it and getting to the end of the level first. There are a few small traps, and the barriers ahead of us will be smashed down by whichever minecart is in front. If you have a minecart, you just press that fire button and you will try to jump. The electric won't bother us, and you can jump over enemies as well. But if you lose the minecart by forgetting to jump, then you'll have to do it all on foot. There are two ways through this level. One of them is the quick way, one of them is the slow way. So this is the quick way through the level, and as you can see, we have quite a number of seconds left on the clock as we beat that level. At the end, if you work out the time that we have remaining in points, and also the gems that we collected, that's 4,375 by going the very quick way through the level. But what happens if you take your time and collect all those extra gems? Well, I tested that theory out as well. So let's collect all of the gems on that level. You can see we have lots of time remaining, but lots less time than we had before. This time we arrive second, we get the failure music, but apart from that, the points that we had from the time and the gems will give us less score than from the pure time. So if you want the most score, go for time on that gem level. After the minecart, it's on to the diamonds, and the gems in this case remind me of the Great Gianna Sisters, and we don't have a time limit, so you can run around and risk everything to get a few gems. For my money, this has the grooviest music in the entire game, and I don't really want to talk over that incredibly groovy music, which I love listening to every single time. Speeding this footage up, the enemies in this case aren't too difficult, and their sword reach isn't too long because they appear to lob pickaxes towards us, and ducking under pickaxes isn't too hard. If you stand a space to one side of them, then that means they will lob that above our heads. It's great to see the turtles on what looks like moving platforms, and we can die, but we can take hits as well in this game. Talking about taking hits, if you want those crystals, you'll definitely have to take a hit over those spikes to get out again, and that's one of the areas, and we're back to the long scoring run. That's one of the areas that I had to do to get the high score, but I definitely did not score the highest score in that round. Mostly because I was too afraid to go into the difficult areas, which this is one. Across here is some more gems, but let's not risk it. We're on 9 lives, and so let's just make our way through to the exit. Riding in minecarts is fun once you get into them, and we can also slow that minecart down as well, which means we can't jump. Mostly this is trial and error, and having learned the hard way, all we need to do is jump up here, jump, and then most of these things can be jumped or ducked under. We can still, unfortunately, go the wrong way and still die, and this does look like that we can destroy these, but we can't, so the game holding our hand at this point and making sure that we jump over these blocks. But we can still rush ahead, we can still make those mistakes, just like that, and so we'll have to go back to playing it the slow way. This bit looks difficult, but if you run underneath them and do a duck, 9 times out of 10 you can make it. Of course, I didn't manage to do that on this playthrough, and you can get some more health as well for your time and your trouble, as long as you time that. Fall down this pit. Or if you are feeling extra brave, you can collect this and press the space bar to put that in your inventory, and then go through these spikes to find another hidden area. That gives us another amulet, and that gives us some more health. Then that's the level over. We're now at the boss. Boss isn't too hard, but that thing bouncing around definitely is. And there are a number of things you can do about the boss, but there's nothing you can do about that guy bouncing. He won't take damage, he won't take hits, but you will. So if you don't get out of his way, you'll start flashing away, and that means that we're draining away energy. What you can do is prep up by aligning these taps or cogs, whatever they might be, and that means that a drip of water drips onto the enemy's head and kills him. You can see the enemy's health appears in red. So having primed the dynamite, we then launch that, and the dynamite in this case is harmless H2O. That is perhaps the second most difficult boss in the entire game, so let's move on again to another easy section. And that area that I was mentioning before is just below where I am at the moment. There is a safe spot right in the middle of the level, and if you go for the lightest light pink just above the orange, that should mean that we don't take any damage. By far these helicopters are the hardest part, and because I'm in the wrong spot I am taking damage, but if those helicopters get behind then we cannot face any damage as long as we're in the safe spot. Great to get this far, and it's still very difficult to control this and have your wits about you, but by far, well, one of the most strategic bosses in this game is this one that we find at the end of this flying section, and when he attacks you duck, and then when we stop attacking you can rise to try to lob a few pot shots in, and your pot shots won't deplete him very quickly. So it's a war of attrition. You'll have to keep going at it until you get completely bored, and finally he will keel over and die. And finally, now that boss should be history. We can wave him goodbye as we leave the magic carpet behind and we go on to another level of this game. You can know by now that this game gets tougher as it goes on, but the ship for mining is one of the hardest if you take the longer routes. But this is part of level 5, world 5 as I like to call it. That means that we're on to the ice level, and you will see me playing this now for the rest of the review, because world 5 is the last one, and what we have to do here is survive. This is my highest scoring run, so I don't want to die at this point, and if you manage to get this far in the game yourself without using any cheats, if you don't know the level, the easiest thing to do is to take it very, 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 very slowly. That is not least because we'll end up slipping and sliding on the ground if we don't take it slowly, and so you learn that in this level the hard way. Patience is a virtue, and if you try to jump over these, you'll probably end up dying, but they will return to us like a yo-yo after a while, so we can get rid of the hit points. And it's great that they don't take too many hit points in this game, and some of these platforms are destructible, and some of these are made from ice. And having been made of ice, it's pretty difficult to jump on them, but you can see it's also possible to run and duck, which you definitely need to do, because this is the right way to go to complete this level. I also think it's great animation as the snowman bounces around, and they didn't have to do that with a transformation, but they did, and it's pretty effective. I'm trying to find hidden parts and places on this level because I rarely get here, and this is my very best competitive run, so I don't want to leave anything behind at this stage. Now I find 3 doors, and these 3 doors remind me of Bruce Lee, the classic Bruce Lee game on the Commodore 64. Like Bruce Lee, we'll need a flamethrower to open those doors, and so we'll have to go on 3 subquests, to get those flamethrowers. And you can see, just like Rick Dangerous, it will pour different elements on our heads, and just like Monty Mole, it will throw snowballs around. And don't forget, these guys were ex-Gremlin staff, and Peter Harrop and etc. were ex-Monty Mole Gremlin staff at that. This was a Peter Harrop and a Sean Hollingworth production, and you can hear some great music as well. This bit is very tricky to run and to duck, but it gives us a chance to exit until we get to the next part, and for my money it's best to run under it, and you can also jump through those loops, and that helps. If you mistime it, you can actually run straight through them, and that means that's great. It means we can get through that area. Hopefully that's the first blowtorch, or flamethrower as I like to call it, and the blowtorch will torch its way through the ice. Let's make use of the jumping over the spike trick going backwards, and it didn't quite work, but that's what I like to do. And running and taking leaps, or rather ducks of faith in this case, is something that you have to do by trial and error, but don't rush too far ahead. It's very easy to do that at this stage. This pit of spikes, we should find another blowtorch and another power-up over the other side, and just like Benefactor, we can run across the chandeliers and like Errol Flynn, and then we get some crampons. Hopefully that will stop us skidding, but we'll still need to slide later on to get into the hidden areas. It's fantastic to find an extra life on the last level. If you know about that, you can duck in and recharge your energy supply, because you can see mine is running out. And so it's the final few screens of this entire game, and once you get this far, I hope this has given you a quick play guide, a long guide to the first section, finding all those secrets, and a quick way through the ship. That's definitely necessary. Then you're on to the easy minecarts, and you're on to the easy flying sections. So really this section really isn't that difficult if you know how to get through the other sections very quickly. And this one will still catch you out, but it's a great feeling to complete this game, having never completed it before until this very footage that you can see right now. I'm now into almost unknown territory. I know for a fact that the next area is hard and I will die in here, so I'm actually using this time to explore, and exploring is lethal, because if we explore the level all the way to the top, what do we find? Well, death. Just like the Monty Mole games that we're all familiar with, can't really explore these room-to-room antics. This one is a very, very difficult room, and I've died here and been frustrated trying to control it down in very much anger. You can see these things do follow a pattern, but trying to follow that pattern is a devil's own job, and I haven't quite managed it. But you can see by luck or by judgment, I managed to get through the bulk of it. You definitely need that sword upgrade, because that smashes through a barrier later on. And another thing that's defeating me on this level is the run and jump through a gap scenario, and I didn't expect to find that, particularly at this part of the game. That's the very first time I've got the Sword of Power, so from now on I really am in the dark, as you can see at the moment. Each room is a puzzle, and some of the puzzles look very hard, but most of them aren't. It's a hand-holding game, and the game can really hold your hand at this point, especially with the power sword, and that means these bouncing things don't have to bounce around very far until they bounce into death. We should hopefully now be on our way through those doors again, those 3 magical doors, and the last one will give us access to the end section of this level 5. And I'm just hoping it's through here, because I'm not 100% sure that this seems to be it. And there must be something in that chest. Is it worth going for that chest and risking all that energy? Well, there's only one way to die in this game, and that's by touching anything which is moving. Or if you jump into the spikes which aren't moving, or if you land on something, you'll still die. That takes us back to a checkpoint, but that's not so bad, and hopefully with the crampons we can glide through one of the penultimate screens of this game. But let's just check out what's in that chest, because if there's a closed chest, I want to find out what there is in there. If it's energy, great. If it's a life, great. And it's an extra life, so it was worth going for it after all. It's another leap of death. Let's leap out of there and leap on, hopefully through the next few screens. That's the speedy boots collected. Unfortunately, we don't want to collect those speedy boots because it will speed us straight into the enemies. And so yet again we have to take the slow way. I have seen a long play where the guy used speedy boots to get through most of the rest of the level, but I won't be doing that because I'm trying to stay alive. I've not seen any of this before, and I only know that I'm supposed to leap over the final gap before the final boss to get the extra final goodies, and I've no idea where that is at the moment. So I'm trying to find a few hidden areas. There are none, and I wonder what's in here then. Maybe it's a blowtorch, and maybe it looks harder than it is, but I'm having to get over the fear factor of giving it a try. That's the last of the blowtorches that we need to blow through the ice. But of course we still have to make our way through everything else, and at this point I don't really want to lose all my energy on this stuff, because it was easy one way and pretty difficult going the other. Apart from the underwater level, which I have explored and I've got lots of respect for, I think I've got the most respect for this last level, and there are one or two surprises hidden away, one of which I'll hopefully be showing you in this footage. You can see I'm having to do things the long and the slow way, and by 30 minutes into this review we'd covered virtually all of it, and this is taking 20 minutes just on its own. But I'm still trying to check those sides, because if we find an extra life at this point, it's going to make my life a lot easier. Checking out the final door, there are 3 routes, and I didn't know which route to take. So I wonder which route we're going to see on this video, because it's been quite some time since I've seen it. Looks like we're going the first way. I wonder if this is the right way to go. Instead, we've chosen to go the final way, and if memory serves, that is actually the right way to go on the level, and all the other ways will lead to us looping around. We have the item that we need, the blowtorch, so let's see if this is indeed the right way. I've wandered into unfamiliar ground at this point, and maybe on the other side of this we can find something to help us, and there's again only one way to find out. I think these platforms collapse. Yes, they do. Let's try to jump it in. No, we can't. Now let's take the steps, and above here, is it some more energy? No, it's another blowtorch. Well, we don't actually need those 2 extra blowtorches. Maybe there were ways through this level. As far as I know, it's a linear path, so I'm not quite sure why we need them. But that's an extra hint. I don't think that we can use them on anything, because I've been looping these levels, trying all these different ways, and I think I'm going for the score, but actually I'm probably going the wrong way. So let's try this way, and let's see if this way is any better. That gives us the speedy boots, and I noticed some spikes earlier on. Let's see what happens if I run and duck under these. Where have we seen columns before? Jet Set Willy and Monty Mole. That puts us onto the final section of this game. You can get to here the legitimate way up here, but I haven't managed to get there the legitimate way. I've managed to sneak my way around, and that might have cut off some score. I had no idea, but this is the furthest I've ever got. I don't want to throw it away, so let's see if these things collapse. And no, they don't, which is good. And what have we got? Well, let's switch to those crampons. That means that we don't slip off this ice. These are the final few screens and the final few opportunities to die, which you can see I very successfully managed to do. I have one life remaining, and at this point I'm hoping and praying that I'm going to see the final boss. This is the leap of faith that I know I'm supposed to jump over, so let's try and jump over it from here. And unfortunately, even though I tried to jump, the controls let me down. I fell into the pit. That's the first and the last and the only time that's ever happened, because I've never got this far before. So let's lay into the boss and see what happens. Boss is throwing some deadly wind towards us, and so long as we are attacking the boss and we're not going anywhere near that wind, hopefully that should be safe. Now the deadly bubbles of doom, and easy to avoid those. And then the boss comes back and more bubbles of doom appear, and then he comes back again, and I think he rains down hellfire upon us. More blocks, and those are notoriously difficult to beat. Look at this, we now have 0 lives remaining. Well done, you are at risk of not completing this game. And that's it, that's the boss over. That means the floor will collapse, he will die, and we get to collect our final score. Because I didn't jump over that last leap of faith, I didn't get to the top spot, and I think I came second in the competition. But I hope that that's given you the easy way to complete that game. A few of the mysteries. It's definitely fun checking out level 1 and all the hidden sections, and we'll do more of that throughout the entire game. I used to think Arabian Nights was very difficult, and before the game's competition I'd regularly get to the ship and that was it. After that I went the quick way, and that means that we got through it without saving lives. See, the programmer is finally Matt Furness, who we discovered with the original Playguide and review. Definitely did a great job with the audio. Simeon Pashley did the programming, and this was a Chrysalis production, who they also created Soccer Kid. Once again for following this review. I hope it's enlightened you to the ease of this game, because it looks very, very hard, but it's actually, if you follow it all the way through, pretty easy until you get to the last level, and then you'll have to really pace it and then really take it easy, otherwise you'll die. And you can see Sean Hollingworth, Peter Taverner, who I think was the managing director of Chrysalis, and of course Peter Harrop. So thanks for watching this Playguide, and I'll see you again in another Playguide and hopefully a review sometime soon.